From Washington, this is VOA News. A framework for an end to Syria's chemical weapons brings widespread reaction. 23 people are reportedly killed in a northern Iraq blast. I'm Vincent Bruce reporting from Washington. President Barack Obama has welcomed the framework of a new deal reached by the United States and Russia to rid Syria of chemical weapons. As VOA's Klein reports from the White House, the president's reaction came in a written statement Saturday.
In the statement, Mr. Obama said he welcomed the progress made between the U.S. and Russia in negotiations in Geneva that produced a framework agreement Saturday. He called it an important, concrete step toward the goal of moving Syria's chemical weapons under international control. In his weekly radio and internet address, recorded Friday before the deal was reached, Mr. Obama said that if diplomacy fails,
the United States and the international community must remain prepared to act.
Russia would likely veto any UN military action, however. Klein, VOA News, the White House.
The United States and Russia have agreed on that framework after discussions between U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. Kerry outlined the plan during a joint news conference in Geneva Saturday.
We have reached a shared assessment of the amount and type of chemical weapons possessed by the Assad regime, and we are committed to the rapid assumption of control by the international community of those weapons.
The plan calls for the elimination or removal of all chemical weapons material and equipment by mid-2014. However, the plan is hardly 100% agreed upon. General Salim Idris of the opposition Free Syrian Army said the group rejects the plan.
We don't recognize the Russian initiative, and we think that the Russians and the Syrian regime are playing games to waste time and to win time for the criminal regime in Damascus.
He said the Free Syrian Army group would continue its fight against Mr. Assad's government. There are more details at voanews.com. Further reaction, France and Britain has hailed the U.S.-Russian agreement. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the deal means there is a chance for a political solution to what she termed this terrible chemical weapons attack. The European Union voiced support and offered assistance. UN Secretary General Ban KiMoon said he hoped the plan would help find a political solution that would end the appalling suffering of the Syrian people. Not all other reaction is positive. Syria's ally, Iran, said because of the agreement, the United States and certain countries no longer had a pretext to attack Syria. Adib Shishakli of the Syrian National Coalition for Gulf Cooperation Council countries said the deal should have been discussed with members of the Syrian coalition.
Any deal or anything discussed between Russia and the U.S., it wasn't in coordination with the Syrian coalition. Our view is this regime cannot be trusted. We said it many times, and the regime did not comply with any deadlines, with any red lines, anything in the past.
Once again, more details at voanews.com. In other news, in northern Iraq, at least 23 people were killed when a suicide bomber detonated explosives at a funeral. That attack took place in Geneva province. Medical officials say a suicide bomber targeted mourners at a ceremony for a member of the Shabak ethnic minority. An Egyptian judge has ordered former top security officials to testify in the retrial of deposed President Hosni Mubarak. The judge made the order during a Saturday hearing for Mr. Mubarak, who is on trial for complicity in the killings of hundreds of protesters during the 2011 uprising that led to his resignation. The judge has summoned a former intelligence chief and several other Mubarak area security directors to testify in proceedings that will begin October 19th. Fighting in the southern Philippines intensified Saturday as government troops pushed to take Muslim rebel positions after days of clashes. The army says at least 53 people have been killed in the fighting, 43 of them rebels. On Saturday, Japan successfully launched a new rocket carrying the first space telescope designed for remote observation of other planets. Japanese officials hope the solid fuel Epsilon, launched from a space center in southern Japan, will be a less expensive and more efficient way of sending satellites into space. The latest is available at voanews.com. I'm Vincent Bruce, VOA News in Washington.